border, correct?
About 40 miles from the border, yes, sir.
You said earlier in your statement that you and your family are in fear for your lives. You have to look over your shoulder when you're
We
sitting in your
fear for
backyard.
the dangerous situation that we're in because there are many, many people present on the ranch at any given time, and we don't know if they're friendly or not.
Can you shed a light on, I'll let you guys do the talking. Can you shed a light for me on what the towns themselves, the infrastructure, is that being scuttled because of the mass immigration, illegal immigration that's coming across the border? For instance, like the restaurants, the grocery stores, the first responders, the hospitals. Can you shed some light on that for us?
Well, I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't live in town. They are going through us to get here or another city in between. What's going on there, I can't speak to.
Mr. Benson, the statistics that you threw out in your statement, that's my district. And I share that district with Mr. Babin. And in the past 2 years, I just got done talking with my sheriff in San Jacinto County. In the past 2 years, there's been 2 shootings, 2 mass shootings with the AR platforms that are in discussion, both of which were with illegal immigrants. That's it. In San Jacinto County, I would venture to say over 85% of the people have that type of weapon system in their home or in their truck. And that lends itself to we raise our kids right. Can you elaborate, please, on what you saw in Liberty County as far as the school districts go, again, for me?
I'm sorry, in which county?
Liberty County.
Yeah. Well, yes, I mean, it's overcrowded. It's struggling with an unanticipated onslaught of people moving in, foreign nationals who don't speak the language. They tell me many of them are not legally present. The community there has been described as the largest community of illegal immigrants in the United States.
75,000.
Yes.
Right in my district. I
Yes.
feel it. I feel the pressure. 10,000 children make up a school district. We went from 3,000 to 20,000.
Yes.
San Jacinto, Polk, Liberty counties are some of the poorest, not only in the state, but in the country. It is unsustainable. We know that this is a problem, but the administration is doing nothing to course correct this issue. Ms. Dambuga, it's great to see you again. I'm sorry, this is our second time, and I hate that it's in this chamber. Mr. Beer, you said that immigration is the antidote to crime. Can you elaborate on that for me, please?
Well, it's the antidote to the recent rise in crime that started in 2020. We've seen that immigrant communities are less likely to commit crimes than
immigrants that come through the process
and they revitalize
correctly?
dying communities, which prevents crime.
Immigrants that come through the ports of entry properly?
Both.
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 So what if immigration is the antidote to crime, what's illegal immigrants in our country?
What are they? They're people without legal status in the United States.
Given the numbers that we see in the crime rate, are you aware of the sex trafficking number in the United States and what that looks like with women and children?
The number?
Yeah, the number. You don't know that statistic?
Not
what I
off
understand,
the top of my head, no.
The number of men, women, and children being trafficked is more than any time in history. You aware of that? Right now, here in the United States. You aware of that? You think that's coming through a secure border?
No, it's
I
not.
don't think so either.
I want a secure border. I want it very secure.
And
I
we
want
do too.
people to come in
In your
legally.
opinion, do
I
you
want
think the
people to
border's
come in
secure?
legally.
In your opinion, do you think the border's secure?
Absolutely not. I want people to come in legally so we can free up Border Patrol to go after people who are serious criminals and threats.
Glad to hear you say that, sir. Thank you.
And the Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Law Enforcement, and Intelligence will come to order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare the committee in recess at any point. Without objection, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lalata, is permitted to sit on the dais and ask questions of the witnesses. The purposes of today's hearings are to examine the ways in which an unsecure border poses a significant threat to human life, and as such, should be handled with the utmost seriousness and expediency. For the protection of safety and human life, we must come together to develop a better understanding of how lax border policies have affected American communities and how we can develop effective solutions to this immediate threat. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. Without objection, I have letters from Emilio Tambunga and Virginia Jesperson to be submitted for the record. So ordered without objection. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Subcommittee on Border Security and Enforcement, Subcommittee on Counterterrorism, Law Enforcement, and Intelligence joint hearing entitled The Real Cost of an Open Border, How Americans Are Paying the Price. Today's hearing will examine how the Biden administration's open border policies have caused incalculable human cost, not just to American citizens, but also to those driven to make the treacherous journey to our southwest border. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today. The stories they will share will be harrowing, but it's important that the American people hear the true cost of this administration's failure to secure our sovereign border. From the impact on our frontline law enforcement officers to the increase in illegal alien crime and record deaths from fentanyl poisoning to the growing number of migrant deaths along our borders, the Biden-Mayorkas border crisis has had a devastating impact, which is worsening daily. Open border policies have wreaked havoc on American communities, taxed law enforcement resources and morale, emboldened human and drug smuggling operations, and directly resulted in a record number of alien deaths along our southern border region. And no community has been hit harder than those within the border regions. Devastation to private property, particularly ranches, represents a daily challenging to those living in border communities. One of our witnesses here today, Mr. J.R. Ramirez, who manages 2 commercial cow-calf operations, is bearing a financial burden that threatens his ability to operate a profitable business that both feeds our nation and protects essential habitats and wild spaces. An inexcusable financial burden is placed upon the many men and women who operate businesses and have homes along the southern border simply for trying to live and work. As these migrants force their way into the country with no regard for the destruction they're causing in many cases to property along the way and the lives that they impact. The cost of the border crisis extends to the men and women of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. As the administration's open border policies enable cartels, the price is paid by those doing their jobs. Customs and Border Protection morale is at an all-time low, and state and local resources have been unable to keep up with the flood of human beings and drugs crossing our border. That flood of humans across the border includes the massive influx of human trafficking and human smuggling being reported recently. We rightly commit law enforcement resources to combat this scourge nationwide. However, open border policies should not exist, and our border policies should be in tune with the goal towards law enforcement. We should not worsen the problems and make it impossible for others to deal with as the years unfold. Just last year, Customs and Border Protection officials found the bodies of at least 848 aliens along the southwest border. And according to the UN's International Organization for Migration, the southwest border is, quote unquote, the deadliest land crossing in the world. This administration has touted that their border policies are safe, orderly, and humane. And anyone who's been down to the border can attest that there's nothing safe and orderly or humane about that situation. Safe, orderly, and humane policies would not allow a record number of illegals into our country and drugs trafficked into our nation. It would not encourage migration across the deadliest land crossing in the world and leave our law enforcement and border communities to deal with the crisis on their own. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today. I yield the balance of my time, and I now recognize the ranking member for the Subcommittee on Border Security and Enforcement.